Let's take a deep dive and compare 4 great console gaming DAC amps that can also be used on your desktop. How do they compare sound and features wise? Which should you consider first? All these answers and more can be had for the low price of just kidding. Sit back and relax and let's talk about it! Greetings bosshead and welcome aboard. Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions leading to a beautiful audio experience that will make you fall in love with music all over again. So, all of these are amp DAC combos that come in at similar price points save for the Mojo. The D1, K5 Pro, and G6 come in at roughly $130 to $170, and the Mojo is around $500 or $600. They are all built very well, but the Mojo has been known to fail after some time. Not all users are having issues, but it's something to keep in mind. Video above if you're interested. The K5 Pro and G6 do have gain features, and I'd feel comfortable driving anything 0 to 600 ohm. The D1 does not have gain, and I consider the ceiling at around 300 ohm. It does very well with an HD600 650, but I wouldn't rely on it for anything more demanding than that. The Mojo has plenty of power and no gain feature, but you likely won't need it. For clarification, the Mojo provides 35 milliwatts into 600 ohm. The Mojo also happens to be the only one here that utilizes its volume and power functions a bit differently from the others. Instead of a volume potentiometer, it has little globe balls that are really fun to play with. They also change colors depending on sample rate and volume. More on that in the official review link down below. None of these have a bass boost, but the G6 is perhaps the most feature-rich, with its SBX Virtual 5.1 surround and Scout mode features, as well as both 3.5mm headphone jack and mic inputs for FPS gaming. This immediately separates it from the others from a competitive standpoint, as you can use it both casually and or with a party. All 4 have the optical input for use with a console, so either way, you'll be able to chill on the couch with some movies or single player games, both of which I personally love when I'm maxing and relaxing. All can be connected to powered speakers. Both the D1 and K5 Pro utilize RCA outs for the task, while the G6 and Mojo opt for the 3.5mm line. In the case of the G6, there is a line out. For the Mojo, the 3.5mm can be used as a line in or out, as far as I know. Just use a 3.5mm to RCA and shut up. Just kidding. While the G6 and the K5 Pro both have inputs, 3.5mm and RCA respectively, the Mojo and D1 do not. Now that all that technical mumbo jumbo is out of the way, how do they sound in relation to one another? Glad you asked, homie. As many of you Day 1 homies know, the Mojo is my second favorite amp DAC sound-wise, right behind the venerable Bryson BHA-1. It's incredibly rich and textured, with perfect resolution, clarity, detail, intimacy, speed, etc. It's simply sublime in every way. Some may not like this warmish tone, but I personally fell in love. The D1 bears a similar sentiment to the Mojo, but its performance isn't quite on par. It's certainly no slouch though. I'd categorize it as a cross between neutral and warm, and it does incredibly well paired with an HD650 on console or with music. Full-bodied, crisp, and enjoyable sound all around. So turn that frown upside down, clown! Just kidding. The K5 Pro follows suit here. At 1.2 ohm output impedance, it also strikes a nice balance of warm and neutral. I consider the G6 just shy of neutral here, and perhaps the most crisp sounding and clean out of all of these. For a product targeted at mostly consumers and gamers, this piece functions more like something an audiophile would rely on. Some audiophile snobs may scoff at this notion, but the G6 is an incredible performer at its price point or otherwise. They're basically giving it away at around $130 considering everything it's capable of. FPS gamers, vinyl lovers, and film addicts should look to the G6 first. It's a product that covers all the bases and looks classy doing so. Don't underestimate the power of the G6. You can even download an app and EQ any headphone to your liking. A great feature for some of those brattier cans that could benefit from some slight alterations. Overhyped treble. Excuse me. The important takeaway is that the sound of these 4 amp DACs is very similar, with slightly contrasting tones and flavors. I've demoed countless songs with an array of different headphones with all of these over the last couple of years. I don't really recommend DACs based on how they sound in relation to one another though, because after demoing close to 50 at the time of this video, it largely does not matter. They are all very similar at the end of the day. Headphone differences are much more apparent and noteworthy. I recommend DACs mostly based on specs and features, and always have. The Mojo is an outlier to me sound-wise, but it has some other issues that prevent me from recommending it outright. So with that, how would I rank them? I'd hands down get a G6 first, and it's really not that close. It's a jack of all trades and even more versatile than the K5 Pro. If you're an FPS gamer, audiophile, film buff, music lover, vinyl spinner, it's an incredibly easy purchase. The K5 Pro is a close second, followed by the D1 and then the Mojo. And that's my final answer! All relevant links down below. Click here to my right and check out the article though. Consider purchasing from my blog as it helps keep me up and running. Any support through donations, purchasing a print, t-shirt, mug, joining the Patreon, etc. are all welcome and much appreciated. And that's the bottom line!